What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with Reactions to the Classics, and today we have a Santana reaction, the epic album Abraxas, brought to us by our friend, longtime supporter and patron of the channel, Trucker Kev. Thank you, Kev. Always appreciate you. And somehow we have no Santana up, so I'm very glad that you remedied that issue. Kev knows this album very, very well, so he's got some thoughts that I'm going to bring first. I'm going to share his thoughts. Then I'll give you some research I have. Then we're going to jump into this. I have never heard this album, hence that's why I'm doing this one instead of Trey, because he told me it is a great album, so I am sure I will concur. Kev says it's in my all-time favorite albums, and when I listen to in the course of a month at least 7 or 8 times for the last 30 years. That is some real praise, because Kev knows a ton about music. I will say one thing to begin this little write-up. Greg Raleigh, greatness alert. While so many folks know when Neil Schon and Greg split from Santana to form Journey in late '74, see, I didn't even know that. Greg, of course, was a voice until the Infinity album. What they wanted more of a less sort of prog. See the first 2 Journey albums. If any questions, they are fantastic, but not what you think when you think Journey. That makes me want to check those out. More rock, hard rock style, and they brought in Steve and Greg, and Steve shared the vocals until 1980 when Greg walked away to begin a family. Santana's Les Paul was just on fire in this album. This was not quite the jazz fusion like that would follow after Lotus, but just straightforward hard rock, hard classic rock, fusing Latin rhythms together so well with a touch of jazz. Great album all the way through, featuring 2 great covers, the legendary well-known Black Magic Woman from Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac that everybody knows because it's a timeless classic, but here on the album it fuses so well into Gypsy Queen, and also a party favorite, Tito Puente's famous Oye Como Va. My Spanish is not great, and you're going to learn that if you haven't already. But there is so much more potatoes to go with the meat on this. There are quite a few instrumentals that are just nothing short of awesome. The ever so famous Samba Petit and the great incident in Neshaber. You also have the wah-wah pedal-driven Hope You're Feeling Better and FM radio staple still to this day. Absolutely fantastic arrangements, great vocals from Greg, just absolutely awesome playing from Carlos. Just makes it a still to this day for me. A 9.75 out of 10 for Kev. But what makes this album so great is it doesn't get old to me, and it just keeps on flowing from start to finish, keeping you interested, especially with even without Neil on second guitar, who would join on the next album. But just a classic Santana band sound here. So I got a little background on Santana and on the album, then we're going to jump in. Santana is an American rock band formed in San Francisco in 1966 by Mexican-American guitarist and songwriter Carlos Santana. The band has undergone multiple recording and performing lineups in its history, with Carlos the only consistent member. Santana had early success with their appearance at Woodstock in '69 and their first 3 albums, Santana in '69, this one Abraxas in '70, and Santana 3 in '71. Santana is one of the best-selling groups of all time, with over 47 million certified albums sold in the U.S., with an estimated 100 million sold worldwide. That is rarefied air, the 100 million company. Its discography included 25 studio albums, 14 of which reached the top 10 in the U.S. In 1998, the lineup of Santana, Raleigh, Carabello, Shreve, Brown, and Arias was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Let's talk about this album, Abraxas. Second studio album released in September of '70, became their first #1 in the U.S. In the latest Rolling Stone Top 500 Albums of All Time, this is number 334. The title of the album originates from a line in Herman Hesse's book, Demian, quoted on the album's back cover. "We stood before it and began to freeze inside from the exertion. We questioned the painting, berated it, made love to it, prayed to it. We called it mother, called it whore and slut, called it our beloved, called it Abraxas." Wow, what a line. The album cover features a 1961 painting, Annunciation, by German-French painter Matti Clairwin. According to the artist, it was one of the first paintings he did after relocating to New York City. Carlos reportedly noticed it in a magazine and asked that it be on the cover of the band's upcoming album. Clairwin went on to design album artwork for many notable artists, including Miles Davis, Herbie Hancock, Earth, Wind & Fire, and the great Greg Allman. This album's very well thought of. All music 5 out of 5. And then the Rolling Stones Album Guide and Encyclopedia of Popular Music. Those 2 are retrospective ones, also 5 out of 5. On this, you've got Greg Raleigh on lead vocals and Hammond, Michael Shreve on drums, Michael Carabello on congos and percussion, and Jose Chapito Arias on timbales, congas, and percussion. And of course, Carlos bringing the guitar work. So we're going to go to Side 1, first song, we've got Singing Winds, Crying Beast, an instrumental written by Michael Carabello, their percussionist. That's going to go right in, and Kev wanted me to play these together because they segue into each other. Black Magic Woman / Gypsy King, written by Peter Green on Black Magic Woman, Gypsy Queen, Gabor Szabo, I know I messed that up, written by British musician Peter Green, which first appears as a single for his band Fleetwood Mac in 1968. Perhaps the best advice Santana manager Bill Graham, the great Bill Graham, the Fillmore guy, ever gave the band was what their natural inclination to jam made them unique. All of that could fall upon deaf ears without some song structure for audiences to fall back on. And Carlos had been interested in Peter Green's music, having seen him perform at the Fillmore West in San Francisco, and decided to cover this partly because of that, right? You got to have that song structure. Both were influenced as guitarists by B.B. King. Santana's version, recorded in 70, sung by Greg Rowley, is a medley of Gabor Szabo's 1966 instrumental Gypsy Queen, a mix of jazz, Hungarian folk, and Latin rhythms. The song became one of Santana's staples, obviously, and one of their biggest hits, with the single spending 13 weeks on the Billboard Hot 100 and peaking at number 4 in January of 71. Their highest peaking Hot 100 hit until 1999, Smooth, which I will say before we jump into this, that's the only Santana stuff I know. I know Black Magic Woman, and I thought he wrote it, but otherwise, I just know that album from 99, which of course Smooth came off of and won 8 Grammys. But the music won't be in this, just an FYI, but it'll be in a link below. Come check out the music. You got to check it out as Santana writes. So check out the Vimeo link below. I will have the lyrics up as always, although there's no lyrics on the first song. But remember, we're going first 2 songs at Kev's advice. Thanks, Kev. Always appreciate you. Let's check it out. Black Magic Woman, Gypsy Queen. I've never heard the extended version of this song, man. You just don't want it to end, right? It's just fantastic. It's so well known, such a trademark song, but man, it holds up every single time. I think the opening, having that Gypsy Queen in there, you've got the keys by Greg, you got the guitar work on there by Carlos in that opening, and then Greg's voice is just perfect. His delivery of this song, you just believe it. What the song's about, who knows? It's probably about literally a black magic woman. There's a lot of different things on that. Peter Green, some said, got into black magic. Peter Green's got a very interesting story and somewhat tragic story. Not a ton different than Syd Barrett's with Floyd if you really dive into what LSD did to him and kind of, but he was able to come back out of it. We just lost him last year at the time of this filming, but it's really hard to know even what to say about a song like this because it's just so well done. You just got to feel it, man. It's perfect that Kev said to segue from the first song into this one because I also thought Singing Winds, Crying Beast was just fantastic. Had a nice slow build to it, almost like a wind chime type thing. Great percussion here because Carabello wrote it, so of course he's going to write it with some good percussion. But everything worked in there. Greg's keys, Carlos's guitar work, obviously, but it was great. And then this song is just epic. It'll be hard to beat this song, but we can try as we move on to the third track. And once again, this is where my Spanish is challenged. Ocomova. This one is interesting because it was written by Tito Puente in 1962. It's a cha-cha-cha. The song achieved worldwide popularity when Santana did it because this single went to number 13. They had played it regularly as they realized it was good for audiences to dance to before they ever recorded it. Their arrangement is a driving, cranked-up version in a new style of Latin rock, adding electric guitar, of course the Hammond B3 organ, it had to happen, it was 1970, and a rock drum kit to the instrumentation and dropping Puente's brass section. The electric guitar part takes on Puente's flute melody, and the organ provide accompaniment with the organ being played by Greg's discreet use of the Leslie effect. There are several guitar solos and an organ solo, all of which are rooted in rock and the blues, but also contain licks similar to those of the original arrangement. Tito Puente, speaking in the intro to his recording of this song on the album Mambo Birdland, said, quote, "Everybody's heard of Santana, beautiful Santana. He put our music, Latin rock, around the world, man, and I'd like to thank him publicly because he recorded a tune and he gave me credit as the composer of the tune. So since that day, all we play is Santana music." When interviewed, Puente explained how he was initially outraged by a song being covered by a rock band until he received that first royalty check. Santana's version was inducted in the Latin Grammy Hall of Fame in 2001 and the Grammy Hall of Fame in 2002. It was also included in the NPR 100 list the most important American musical works of the 20th century. It's very difficult. Obviously, there's 100 of them. Very, very rarefied air on that NPR list. I don't think I've ever heard this song with all that acclaim. Maybe I have. Let's check it out. Ocomova. Ironically, by far the most streamed song on here. Got about 3 times as many streams as Black Magic Woman. So I can see why, though. It's very catchy. And what a testament to them that they were able to put this song out, right? A testament to the instrumental greatness. Not only Carlos, but everybody in the band. This song charted at number 13 in the U.S., at a time where instrumentals were not charting in the U.S. So all of it's just fantastic. Obviously, the guitar work is the standout, but all of it works synergistically. They're talking to each other through the instruments. Just absolutely loved that one. Now we're already going to finish out the first side with another instrumental, Incident at Neshaber, co-written by pianist Albert Gianquanto and Carlos Santana. The instrumental has several jazz-inspired rhythm and time signatures. As Carlos stated, Neshaber is where the army of Toussaint Louverture, who was a black revolutionary, I know I messed that up, defeated Napoleon in Haiti. So that's what it's about. I think by writing songs like this and Toussaint Louverture, we felt we were our own kind of revolutionary. Alberto Quintano and our pianist on Abraxas helped us a lot putting it together. The first part of the music is from Horace Silver's Senor Blues. The slow part is from Aretha Franklin's This Girl's in Love with You. There seems to be no place called Neshaber on Haiti or associated with the Haitian Revolution, nor has there been a single event in which the French army under Napoleon, who was never on Haiti, was defeated by the rebels under Toussaint, who had by then died in a prison cell in France. Possibly Santana confused the 1804 Haiti massacre, in which almost the entire white population of Haiti was killed, or with the destruction and subsequent massacre of the entire population of Nishapur, which is also called Neshaber in current-day Iran, by the Mongols in 1221. I tell you all that not because you don't, because you care, because I don't. If it's a great song, who cares? The inspiration was there for a reason. But I know some of you will tell me in the comments that incident never happened. So I just wanted to clarify before we ever get to it. Let's check it out. Incident at Neshaber. What a great tune, right? It's so many different parts to it. You had Alberto on the piano and Greg on the keyboards, Michael on the percussion on there, and then of course Carlos on the guitar. But what I like about Carlos is, even though he's one of the greatest guitarists of all time, right, the namesake of the group, and he could really drive everything and be the center focal point of every song, he lets the other artists and musicians breathe on this one, right? He lets them have front and center. He comes in, boy, that chilled little guitar he does at about the 3-minute mark is so smooth. And I liked about the song is it had different parts to it, right? It wasn't just one long instrumental. It kind of reminded me, recently I did a Grateful Dead reaction to some of their suites. So in their suites, it's might be 12, 14, 16 minutes long, but there's all these different songs inside that song. And that's kind of what this reminded me of. It's obviously much shorter, a little over 4 minutes or almost 5 minutes, but different little parts to it. It definitely never got boring. It never drug on. So really, really enjoyed that. And also courageous too. In the first side, back in the day when album sides mattered and sequencing mattered, we start with Singing Winds, Crying Beasts, and instrumental, and we end with this, an instrumental. And we're going to start the next side out with basically an instrumental, but I think that takes a lot of courage and just a testament to how great they really are. Next up, you see it below. Here's where my Spanish is going to be challenged a little bit, boys and girls, on the second side. Cabo. And I know it can be pronounced much more emphasis in that, but that's the best I can do. This one was actually written by Jose Arias, who is the great player of the timbales. If you don't know what those are, they're mounted, they look like drums, but they're really a Caribbean instrument that gives some of the unique sound to some of this Santana stuff. So it is an instrumental, except for that word, Cabo, is said, I think 6 times at the end of this, as it looks like. It's Spanish for it's over. So let's check it out. What a tune, man. Really enjoyed that one. Much more fast-paced than the previous tune, Incident at Neshaber. Really did enjoy that. I think, obviously, one of the highlights here is the percussion, the timbales, and with Jose writing the song. I mean, what else would you expect? But really has that Latin feel, that signature Santana sound. And once again, I'll say, a very courageous way to start an album side out. Really enjoyed it. Next up, you see it below, we got Mother's Daughter. This one was actually written by Greg. So let's check it out. Mother's Daughter. I mean, Carlos is on fire on this song, but so is Greg, man, both in singing and on on the keys, man. And he wrote this song. I'd like to know why he wrote this song. He might have just pulled it out of thin air, but it seems to have a little bit of personal touch to it. Verse 1, got no time for fooling with you, baby. Your stupid game is about to end. You played it out, thought you had made it. It looks like someone passed you by again. So he's got rid of her. He's moved on, and maybe someone else moved past her again. I don't know if he's something about himself, or she might have had it all figured out with another guy, and now he left her too. I left her standing in her corner. She told me she was trying to find her way. I've got to leave before I get much older, because she ain't moved in nearly 40 days. Boys and girls, don't stay in a relationship that's stagnant, man. It's better to be alone than be in that stuff. And his last verse, it went a different direction than I thought by the song title. That's my assumption. I've got a woman that's treating me better. She takes her time and she ain't so cruel. I've got something to take you over. Your mother ain't so bad. What happened to you? I thought mother's daughter. I thought maybe, the mom was a little bit bad. You are your mother's daughter. You're just like her. But no, he actually tells her, no, your mom's all right. It's you that's got a problem. I don't know what happened to you, but it didn't get passed down from mama. So really enjoyed that one. It's nice to get back into just some lyrics in there, just for a change of pace. But now we're going to switch back to an instrumental, a very well-known instrumental. Samba Petit, probably a better way to say it. I say it every time just so you guys know. In English, the title means Samba for You. Single went to 27 in the UK, their first single to chart in the UK. It was written by Carlos after he witnessed a jazz saxophonist playing in the street outside his apartment. In 2008, Santana told Mojo that this was the first song he felt he could call his own. He said it was conceived in New York City on a Sunday afternoon. I opened the window. I saw this man in the street. He was drunk and he had a saxophone and a bottle of booze in his back pocket. And I kept looking at him because he kept struggling with himself. He couldn't make up his mind which one to put in his mouth first, the saxophone or the bottle. And I immediately heard a song. I wrote the whole thing right there. That is fantastic, man. How songs come about never ceases to amaze me. An instrumental, man, let's jam. Wow. Okay, so that's one of those where Carlos is firing all cylinders. I think his best performance on this album, and I know that's saying something. I mean, that's a big statement, but man, that thing, the tone of his guitar, it's just really talking to you. Like, you feel it, man. You just feel it's hard to explain, but in a way that you don't feel with most other even accomplished guitarists. Like, that was something else, man. That's definitely one of my favorites on here. Just fantastic. And that's not to diminish, you got David Brown on bass, and of course Greg's on the Hammond, and Michael Carabello's on the congos, and Jose's on the timbales again, and Shreve's on the drums. So everybody's on this, but man, this is Carlos's showcase. The best I have heard him on this album, and that is a big statement. All right, we got two left. We're going to go to Hope You're Feeling Better. It's another one written by the great Greg Raleigh. Hope You're Feeling Better. I mean, that's one where you just wished it kept going on, right? It seemed like it was over too soon. The lyrics, it's an interesting way to write that Greg wrote this. Is that you? Every verse line starts out with that. There's 3 verses. So I like that, and he asks all these questions in the chorus, and I hope you're feeling better. Yes, I hope you're feeling good. Yes, I hope you're feeling better, but the way he delivers it is so good. And then obviously Carlos is just coming off that last song, firing on all cylinders, the way they sequence this thing. Keyboards are great. Everything else is great. Greg's great on it, but man, Carlos is next level. And now we come to the last song already, El Nicola by Jose Arias wrote this one as well. It's only a minute 29, so not much to it. There's a little bit of lyrics here, but not much. El Nicola. I don't know what these lyrics mean. I was trying to find it. I don't know, but just a great percussion song here, right? A great way to end it out. Obviously, Jose, or Chapito, as he was called on the percussion, the congas, and the timbales. There's all the percussion carabella's on there. I mean, I like that because it just shows you, it's another example that even though Carlos is one of the greatest guitarists of all time, he didn't have to be front and center, right? He lets this album finish off this way. And I realized they were a band, and I realized Santana was a band, but I mean, Carlos is holding a lot of the power in that band. So yeah, enjoyed that one. And I think another thing I like to point out before I get to my favorite tracks, you got a lot of different people writing songs on here. Carabello writes the first song. Then of course Carlos writes some stuff. Obviously they take from Peter Green, little Tito Puente, but then Jose writes 2 songs on here. Greg Raleigh writes 2 songs on. I mean, it really is a group effort. Now we get to my favorite songs, and that one's a really tough one. But there's only 9 songs on here. They're all good, man. I mean, I don't know, maybe Samba, Petit, and obviously Black Magic Woman, because it's really well known, and I mean, I know that song, but I don't know, man. Maybe Ocomova, I like that too, and Mother's Daughter, I like kind of the lyrics and what it's saying to that. But I mean, it's really hard to pick favorite songs. And now we go to my overall grade. You know, when Kev said he listens to this, you know, multiple times a month, and Kev's a truck driver, and shout out to the truck drivers, because you think you have a supply chain problem. If you didn't have truck drivers, you'd have no supply chain. You wouldn't have to worry about it. So shout out to the truck drivers out there doing the work every single day. And I can see why, you know, you're going down that road, you're listening to this. It really is a front to back album, right? It's hard to pick out any one song that goes like that. Even Black Magic Woman, even though it's great, it's almost, I don't wish Black Magic Woman wasn't on here, but it overshadows the rest of the album in the common person's mind, right? It like, because these other songs are great. Many of them are great. And with Black Magic Woman on there being so famous and, you know, an all-time classic, people kind of maybe overlook the other ones. But overall score on this album, I'm going to be at a 9.0, sky high for first listen. It's so good. You got to listen to it all the way through. Don't pick out songs. Just listen to it. It's 38 minutes. It's perfect. 9 songs, 38 minutes, man. Wow, what a classic. So thanks, Kev, for bringing that to us. Thanks to all the patrons, man. If you guys support us anyway, check out the Patreon link below or the patron link in the end screen. Until next time, guys, I will see you.